Richard Panik, half salary retained, number 52 overall in the 2021 amateur draft for Nick Leddy. I'm Chris.
I'm Josh.
Glad to see you're still holding down the fort there in Joe
Yep.
Lewis.
I actually am it's actually under the foundation and thankfully no flooding.
No flooding.
Um,
That's good. It's
no
rainy today,
flooding.
man.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw Jefferson in the lodge. It was pretty bad. Had a hard time getting here, but I made it.
You
So
made it.
here we
That's
are.
what counts, man. Your dedication is,
This is the bunker.
well
It
loved.
smells really bad down here though.
All right. This trade kind of came out of nowhere. Actually, well, I don't know, maybe out of nowhere. I mean, I guess it depends how you look at trade rumors. There was some reporting out of New York that the Red Wings were talking with the Islanders about a trade. And today it definitely came through. I don't know. I seen this. My initial reaction was it makes some sense, and then I
Mhm.
looked into it a little more, and paying for basically the last year of Nick Leddy's contract. I don't know if it's. I don't know. It's kind of an odd trade.
I don't really I never saw it coming. I'm like you kind of yesterday I was looking kind of at the headlines to kind of see get a timeline together and it was Islanders were shopping Letty. So, okay, 24 hours later, probably, yeah, maybe right at 24 hours later, we got he's with us. And I think the biggest thing going forward is not the trade deadline, but definitely the expansion draft. I mean, you got lists tomorrow.
Yeah. So
See,
yeah,
I mean,
lists are out Saturday or I'm sorry, lists are in Saturday the 17th. The public
right.
gets to see them Saturday the 18th. So we'll talk about those Sunday night. But this has some pretty good implications. I don't know if you want to call them good, but it has big implications for the expansion draft.
Yeah. I don't know. I know we can throw a couple theories around Tanguay with the power play. I mean, he's not a bad defenseman. I think he played very well in the playoffs, and he can anchor a power play. I think that's pretty much his specialty. And I mean, I
Right.
believe he's plus for. I think he was plus for the year, and I think I mean compared to Stetcher, who was negative
Well,
for the
you have to
year
take that with a
last
grain. I
year.
mean, plus minus kind of whatever. I think it was negative for the year, but he was plus in the playoffs. Letty was, and obviously on our team, you're gonna be a minus most of the
Yeah,
time.
you're going to be a minus, especially playing against line. I think Stetcher had a lot of line one, line two time too, so he was probably playing against teams second best for the
Yeah,
whole year.
he was kind of behind Hronik, whoever Hronik was playing with most of the time. But yeah, us talk about the expansion draft here. And that's probably like the big thing that comes up, and it's probably why Letty was obviously moved out of New York.
Right.
But most of the year, and everyone talking about coming up to this Seattle expansion draft, Hronik was an obvious protection. We're obviously protecting Hronik.
Mhm.
And then the next two for obviously we're assuming that the Red Wings are going to go 7-3 in their protection, seven forwards, three defensemen, one goalie, which
Mhm.
makes complete sense. Now you're looking at you're going to protect Letty. You just traded a second round pick, and you've accumulated. You're willing to pay the guy 7 million. He has a $5.5 million cap hit. You retained 1.375 million of Panik, and you're going to pay him $7 million. His actual dollar value for 2021-2022 season is 7 million. So Eiserman's willing to take on some money here, and
There might be a second deal here. Lou Lamoriello, he's a pretty old school dude. There may be something behind. I mean, I think we saw it on our site too, just from what I'm looking. Maybe Lou owes Stevie down the line. Maybe there's an agreement there. I don't know because I mean the cap's not a non-issue.
yeah,
Expansion draft
the cap isn't an issue,
is the raised issue here.
right?
Um, so it's going to be interesting to see the list. If we see the list, I think we'll have more of an aha moment with it.
Well, I mean, okay, here's the thing, like, and obviously we're gonna see the lists in 2 days, so we might be completely wrong. Who knows? Maybe they'd go 8 people. They'd fit. No, there's no way they
It
take
won't,
8.
that's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
it's not gonna tap. But this is weird in the fact that most people think you want to protect Stetcher. Well, going into this, it was Stetcher and one of the two young defensemen, Chalowski or Lindstrom. They were going to protect one of those two and Stetcher, or those two and expose Stetcher. Well, now you're exposing two of those three. One of the young guys will definitely be exposed, and there's a good chance both will. I think Stetcher gets you a second round pick at the deadline.
Okay.
Um, I think that's fair value for him.
Yeah, he's a good
And
offensive player.
yeah, he's more of a new style defenseman. He is 27 years old. This is last year on his contract. Maybe he doesn't. Here's the thing, I guess I always thought they'd protect Stetcher and Chalowski. Chalowski having the upside, he was a former first round pick,
Right.
and if he could ever get the defensive his gap control and some of his, reads and assignments down, he could potentially be a top 4 defenseman.
Yeah.
Lindstrom, I always think is gonna be a bottom pair guy, which is weird because he's actually got more points than Chalowski in the NHL, I believe, at this point.
Yeah, I
So, yeah,
it's Leddy's built for the playoffs. I look at his size. I mean, 6 foot 207. He's a big that's a big defenseman, honestly, to move
right.
200 pounds like that. I look at Stetcher 186. I mean, probably like you said, new style defenseman. It wouldn't surprise me if they went. I mean, what I'm thinking, it wouldn't surprise what I'm thinking is that Tanguay wanted him quarterback the power play. Um, like we said before this. And Stetcher, I don't know, man. It's just I'm kinda at a loss where I didn't really see it. I kinda saw I'm not gonna say this. I mean, I am gonna say it out loud. It's kinda like a Kenny Holland deal. Nick Leddy just seems like a Ken Holland deal, but then he goes off and does some stupid, like, get Duncan Keith for, what he did. But, I mean, it just seems like one of those deals. It's very vanilla, not real big splash, but Stevie's not known for a big splash. I mean, he is,
Well, Steve's
well,
known
for
for a
the
couple of
Verona
big.
trade was a splash for sure. We didn't know it was gonna be a
Well,
splash
you look at Druin and
until he got
Sergachev
here.
too, and you look at McDonough, and I mean,
Right.
there's trades that Eisman has done that are big splashes. I mean, they're big deals. Here, I don't know. My thing is, I think you're right with Tanguay. I think Tanguay wanted a power play quarterback. If he's going to come in and quarterback the power play, and Stevie, I guess in the same token as like when he talked about Blashill and giving Blashill a good enough team to evaluate him, maybe he's giving Tanguay like pick a couple guys that you'd like to see. Maybe we can get some of them. So we can really see what you want to do in your power play. Maybe that's a thing. The other thing that it comes down to me is Letty is a left D. Who's
Okay.
the biggest Red Wings prospect, right D, about to come into the organization and play in the NHL is Sider. This would be a great pairing.
Oh, I agree. Maybe I mean, do you think Leddy fetches more at the trade deadline than Stetcher? I mean, I think
I think
so.
he
I think
does.
it's an obvious.
I definitely think
It's
he
a maybe
does.
first round,
I think you could hope for maybe a late first
a team
and
with a
definitely
window.
a second round pick. So if you look at that, and I mean, do we really think he signs here long term? I mean, he just came
Not at
off a
30.
contender.
He's gonna want term. He's gonna want 5. He's gonna want 5 years. And I don't think Stevie's gonna pass out any more than 3 tops right
Right,
now.
and I mean, you look at the guy, like, he just exited a contender, like, peop got a team that, conceivably could make the finals to come to a bottom feeder. Is this something that he really wants?
No,
I
I
don't think
mean, just
so.
common sense. I think you're gonna find somebody that's, possibly a Tampa. I mean, they're gonna be dumping a lot, but at the deadline, they're gonna try to pick up somebody on D. Scoring's not their issue. But I mean, you got Boston that's there perennial every year. Washington's probably gonna go after Suter, probably get him. And I mean, there's gonna be a market for him. I think you fetch more at the trade deadline
So
with
here's my thing,
Letty
like, you
over
traded 50
Stature,
if you traded 52 overall, maybe you don't talk about draft picks, maybe you're talking about prospects at that point, trading Leddy.
ready to go prospects or just kind of fringe
Well,
prospects. I
I don't
mean,
know about fringe prospects, but maybe, like, project prospects, like, guys who could potentially be very good, and you just took on a year Leddy to, maybe that's what you're aiming for, right? Or you get a late first maybe for him. I could definitely see him getting that if he has a good year, and playing with Sider, he might.
what's a good year for? I mean, good year for him is probably 10 goals, 31 assists, 41
I
points,
don't think it's so much on the
probably
maybe on the points, scale or the goals. I think it's more, how he can handle, the D
special
side of
teams.
things
Yeah,
is with Sider, and I think Sider can, help him maybe not help him with that, but can definitely augment what, Letty does. So, that would
right.
be yeah, I mean, maybe it's just a gamble on Eiserman's part. He took on this, and he's gonna pay some money, and he hopes he can turn it into more because the salary isn't a big deal. They're retained on Panik in our, current situation, who cares? We
Right.
have
I
like
mean,
$30 million in cap.
yeah, I don't obviously kept not an issue. It's kind of a head scratcher with me because I don't know who we're going to protect now. It's that we know it's the D, right? We know it's going to be 3D, so there's going to be 2 there that we're going to be like, don't know who we're going to protect here.
Right.
So I mean, I yeah, I got my guess. My theory is they move him at the deadline to a contender, get the
That's
pick, and
that's
then
my theory
Stetcher
too.
gets picked up.
I
because
think
we're
that
protecting stat. I mean, I
I think you might see them both go. If
yeah,
we protect both, I think both will go. Steve's playing the long game here, um, and he's gonna try his best to just throw everything at that 2022 or 2023 draft. Those are big
yeah.
drafts, and I mean, obviously he knows. If we think that, he knows it. Um, who are we? But
Eyes are playing right. I mean, and you know what? This I wanted to say something about this. I mean, here's my question on who's your just quick off the cuff here with your forwards that you're for sure going to protect right now.
right now,
Just quick,
you're
nothing too
definitely
many.
protecting you're definitely protecting
The big three,
Larkin,
right?
Bertuzzi, Vrana, Fabry, Rasmussen. Veleno doesn't have to be protected, neither does Zadina. So that's 5. I think you protect Smith and who am I missing? I'm missing someone here.
Hmm.
Rasmussen, Larkin, Bert, Fabry. I'm missing someone, but there's
Well,
definitely
there's Svetch.
6. Yeah, Svech. I think Svech gets exposed. Just how his
For
treatment
the
in the
sake of it,
organization over
right?
time. I think he's going to go. There's a good chance they take Svechnikov, or they take Nemesnikov. I wouldn't, but I'm missing someone. Oh, Ernie. Ernie would be the other one that I think that they will
Right.
protect. He
Well,
had a
they
big
just
year.
signed him, right? Or they're talking long term with him.
I hope they don't go long term. I'm still a bottom 6 player, but he had a good year.
Yeah, he had a
Um,
really good year. So, I mean, where does that put your center depth at? I mean, at
center
that
depth is
point,
center depth is bad as always. Yeah, center depth is just long term center depth is terrible. It's Larkin and maybe
I mean,
Veleno.
are you? I'm kind of at the point where I have no idea what direction this is going. I mean, we're kind of
Well,
in a
the direction is this is gonna be a long-term rebuild. It's still gonna be a long-term rebuild, and the Mantha trade basically cemented that, and I think
Bertuzzi
I don't think
rumor,
you're seeing the playoffs for the next 4 or 5 years.
right? I mean, that'll put Sider right at kind of his prime, early prime
Yeah,
on the upswing there.
the guys who are gonna lead this team, if they keep Larkin, it will be Larkin. If they don't keep Larkin, it will be Sider. It will be the guys like Raymond, and maybe
Whoever
the
this
Zadinas
person
or
is,
yeah, whoever we get this year. If it's McTavish, who Praman actually put us with at 6, in his full
I saw that.
7-round draft,
I would be
mock
happy
draft.
with that.
I'd be
I'd
happy
be
with that
happy with that.
too. I think Hughes is our best. Eklund's the highest. Hughes is our best bet at 6. If Hughes falls, that'd be fantastic. Eklund would be great, and then I think there is McTavish, or
Best
John.
available,
Yeah,
McTavish.
if you see Johnson as a center, maybe, but I think McTavish would be a good player too. But yeah, that's it. I mean, final. I mean, last thought: is this a good trade or a bad trade?
I think it's a good trade just for the future value of what you might get out of it. I mean, you can't really get connected to a 30-year-old defenseman who's making 5.57 this year, really, right? So, I mean, I do think it's a good trade, but only for the fact that we're going to flip him anyway. I think that's just a foregone conclusion. I think Stevie did Lou Lamoriello a solid there by taking that on. So, I give it a B plus.
I'd give this a better grade if it were the top of the 3rd round pick. We did trade a second for a guy that I mean, all you know, all intents and purposes, we're thinking at this point that we're gonna lose in 8 months. 8, 10 months, whatever it is.
Right.
Um,
Not if he plays a 200-foot game,
we
250-foot game.
250 foot,
Yeah, watch this guy
good in the
become
room.
Blashill's favorite. Watch it become Blashill's favorite. Blashill puts his head out there for the guy, and we end up signing him 5 years. Watch.
I, I guess my thing would be like if we did sign him and sign him for a while, if he's good for Cider, it's worth it. If he's a good mentor for Cider, if he brings the things that they want Cider to improve on or things like that. Left D is terrible in our depth
Mhm.
chart. It's probably second to, well, if you want to, consider goalie, it's third. But
Right.
center, especially right hand center and left D, as far as skaters go, are our worst. Are the Red Wings' worst positional needs.
So we
Most
have a
biggest
hole at every
positional need.
single position on our team, really.
Oh yeah, we do. We're terrible. So
We need
yeah.
goals when bad.
So anyways, you give it a, would you say a B?
I give it B plus.
B plus? I'm gonna give it a B minus, and we'll revisit this. Um,
Sunday.
Yeah, we'll revisit
We'll
it
talk about
Sunday.
it Sunday
Yeah,
too, I'm
we'll
sure.
definitely talk about how this affected Sunday, when the lists are released. But it's really gonna come down to the deadline and what they can retrieve at the deadline. If they can get better than 52nd overall pick in a better draft for this guy, I mean, you spent some money, but it doesn't matter really in the long term, and it's a win.
Yeah, I do think it's a win. I don't think it's just a kind of an eye raiser because you don't know, especially I never saw this coming, people
It's very interesting for a team that was looking like they were gonna try to get younger and, um
kinda
well,
deviated
I
and
guess we did get younger. I mean, he's younger than Panik, so
Panik was never gonna see a
technically
lot of time.
no, but I mean, technically we did get younger, and this lefty, it fills a need, but it'd be better if this was after the expansion draft. If this was after the expansion draft, it would be I'd give it a B plus or an A minus. But because this is going to affect the expansion draft in ways we don't know, and do we really think Chalosky or Lindstrom are, long term good pieces for this organization? I think there's been a lot of opinions on that, and I don't know the answer to that.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're gonna see. Obviously, it's gonna take a little while to play out completely, but I don't think this is a bad trade, but I don't know
Right.
if it's a good trade.
I mean, I would understand. I think the aha moment would be if they didn't protect him and then Seattle chooses him.
Well,
So,
yeah, that would just be that would just be like you just wasted a second round pick for nothing, right? And like spent more money, but
right,
that would be terrible. But that's not gonna happen. So
we'll see.
yeah, I agree. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, do those things. We'll be back Sunday if nothing happens before then.
Mhm.
See you guys.
See ya.